All right, so we're going to start with creating an efficient studio. Now, you have seen sort of, actually, I think, you know, kudos to, let's give a round of applause to Brandon, Aaron, and all the staff here that are doing all this wonderful stuff, because I don't think anybody, especially out there in the virtual world, I sit and watch your faces and you all kind of look overwhelmed. They can't even imagine what's really going on in the chaos. And you guys can see I'm like powerhousing through this. And it's hard because at this point I don't feel like I get to be as social and create a relationship, but you can see what's happening. We're doing a very large scale production here, which is very, very impressive. So let's go back to reality here and let's try to figure out a real studio. You're going to see very soon how incredibly organized we are. We're not talking, you know, have stuff in a pile. It is absolutely labeled, and I think you'll be very surprised. I would also like to note that that's not me. That is not my natural style. That's actually Helen. Over the 8 years she's been with me, she has labeled and boxed everything between her and my husband. Creating an efficient studio, obviously organization, being prepared, and the comfort and care is priority. That baby, and it's not just the baby, it's mom too. Typically working with newborns, mom just had a baby. When that mom walked in and she had a 6-day-old and was holding that car seat, all I wanted to do was get her sitting down. I'm like, let's just get her over here and get her sitting down, because you all, if you've had children, know that at 6 days, you are absolutely not comfortable. And so here she is taking this big risk. It's her first baby, and I just wanted to make sure she knew that we knew that she was not comfortable. Couldn't really change much. She still had to go through the process, but at least she knew that we cared. As you can see, we have everything that you see that we've thrown all over today. We don't work like that. Everything is labeled and boxed so that if I need a headband, if I need a hat, if I need any attire, that's the way it goes. In fact, I'm going to cue up a little video here and show you kind of, I believe it's next, I'm going to show you a little bit about what the room looks like. I'm going to talk you through it. Going to use your imagination. Huge area, as you can see, it's probably maybe 8 to 10 feet across. Now, this is something that you could do in your own home. If you have a home studio, you can build a scenario like this to actually keep things organized. Now, we have our computer editing station, which is, of course, where we go when we are done with the session, but let's kind of go through the shelving here. We're pretty fanatical about organization. We have several photographers, and the main thing is we want to know where everything is, and we don't want to have to work too hard to think about it and find it. So as you can see, everything's labeled, everything from tube tops, newborn hats, headbands, newborn cute stuff. This one always fascinates me, unusual head attire. I'm not sure if that's for a child with an unusual head or if it's, I'm not sure. I never go in there, it scares me too much. Hair wreaths, antique hat, bath hats, and so on and so forth. Tea sets, birthday candles, petals, all kinds of fun things. And these are the things that we use every single day. It's also important to note that we have our big candy box, because that, of course, is how we get through our sessions. From here, kind of circling over this way, we've always had a small refrigerator in every studio. The reason we have that is we always have water bottles on hand. And that way, if we have a mom, a nursing mom, or a mom that's pregnant, or a dad, or children that are thirsty, we can cover them. We also keep popsicles in the upper shelf, so that if we have a child that maybe the candy box is not working, we have some extra ammunition there as well. Another tip that we have, we buy really cheap combs, and we use the combs to give to our clients, because a lot of times they'll come in, they forgot something to comb the child's hair, and I don't want to have a hairbrush around that a mom might be uncomfortable thinking that somebody else used it. So we've got these cute little combs. They're giveaway combs, and they have our studio name and phone number on them as well. So we can give them away. They don't really cost us very much, and it's a great little tip. In addition to that, we have several items that are really important. Things like Cheerios, fish crackers in little containers. And that way, if we have a hungry child or we need to pacify a baby, we can do that pretty quickly. And back in the back corner here, we have a few things like Clorox wipes to keep our keyboards clean. Hand sanitizer is really important. That's something we talk about on tour a lot. When I'm working with babies, you know, if a baby has an accident on the floor, I'm going to clean that up. I'm going to squirt a little hand sanitizer on me, and that way mom and dad know that I care about their baby. What else? Everything, shoe polish, nail polish remover, everything that you could possibly need is back in here. From there, going down, of course, our standard supply of ticklers. These are really important, as you know. Now, everybody always asks me where I find them. And honestly, I go online. I usually Google feather duster extension pole, and I always come up with a solution. Now these were purchased, I think it cost me maybe $40 for a case wholesale, and it was 40 of these, so about $1 a piece. If you do a little research, you can definitely find them. Our chickens are down there, as you know. Moving over this way, we have a lot of flowers and books and things that we keep on hand for different sessions, and we also keep a selection of small tutus in here because these are the ones we utilize the most during the day. Also have a lot of blankets. We deal with a lot of babies, so when a mom comes in, we usually take a fresh, clean blanket, lay it out on a couch, and that way mom has a little changing area where she can get the baby ready and keep all of her things. We are also pretty fanatic about fabric. I love playing with fabric with pregnancies, with newborns. So we keep a really nice selection in each studio, and that way we can grab it real quickly, we keep it organized, and we're pretty good to go. Now, let me make sure that I don't miss anything. This is the ugly baby. We refer to this as the ugly baby because it's an ugly baby. However, we have learned painfully that if mom and dad are outside the room and you say, get the ugly baby, when you go to open the door and you walk out, they will have a very concerned look on their face. So make sure that they know that the ugly baby is not their child. We've had a couple really funny experiences calling the baby the ugly baby. But we use this baby doll. She usually has clothes, but we use her to teach parents how to hold the baby comfortably in the different positions that we have. And that way, instead of trying to show them with an actual child, it's a little easier to go through it this way. So that's our ugly baby. Now, if you really think about it, that's an entire baby section right there. Everything we have in that corner is set up so that we can very quickly get baby work done. Everything from the cocoons, the wraps, the headbands, they're all placed right there. Now, another thing that I recommend that you have in your studio, and especially if you work on location, is an emergency kit. The emergency kit has every single thing that you possibly could imagine. Now, this comes from my wedding days. This little toolbox stayed in my car at all times, but we're talking everything from gaff tape to combs to screwdrivers to mosquito repellent, lotion, gloves, glue, hot glue guns. The list is incredible. In fact, I can't remember if I put it in the, it's possible that I put it in the free catalog that we're going to give you guys. If I didn't, you can yell at me on Facebook or something and I'll find a way to get it up there, because this is a list that it took me, seriously 15, 20 years to perfect. I collected from different photographers, and then every time I needed something, I wrote it on this list. So it is really, truly all-inclusive. I can't imagine you forget anything, but if I can get you that list, and now I'm going to have 10,000 posts on Facebook, so we're going to rethink that actually. Tomorrow we're going to talk about it, and I'm going to make sure you have a place to go get it. We'll put it on You Can Do or something like that where it makes more sense. So I don't want to leave anybody hanging. So scratch what I said. I will make sure that's available to you. In fact, I will get it in the catalog since it's not going out till Wednesday. Did you get that, Brandon? Yay. Yes, please. Thank you. All right, done. You're getting it in the catalog. It will be there. Thank you. Okay, so this is one of our studios. I think you saw this image earlier. You can see we literally cut out entire walls to get the north lighting that we want. This studio is probably 40 by maybe 40 by 50, I believe, so it's pretty large. We are collectors of chairs. That was the thing I couldn't bring here. My work, as I said, traditionally is a chair, a child, and a wall. Very simplistic. Helen's work is more what we shot today, which is a lot of props and things. Both work very, very well. It is absolutely true. Helen outsells me on art products all the time, period. And that doesn't mean her sales averages are higher, but when it comes to actually selling art products, she absolutely outsells me because she takes the time to do that, to do that very full creative process. Lots of things, and also Helen and Brandon, we are going to be showcasing some of the things. I actually think you know what, scratch that, we touched and held almost everything we brought, so I don't think we have to pull a whole lot unless I think of something, but some of the essentials that we have, obviously blankets, gauze is huge. I'm trying to get a supply of that on You Can Do because I get asked probably 400 times a week, so I'm trying to find a supplier that'll actually get it on there really inexpensive because it's not easy to come by. You can go buy cheesecloth. It's not as sturdy. Do not hang a baby from a cheap cheesecloth. But gauze is really important for doing hammocks, which we're going to show you in a little bit in a video, as well as wrapping those diapers. Yes, we do naked babies, but 9 out of 10 times I don't, because honestly, the effort of you are going to get wet, so that adds an extra 15 to 20 minutes. I love little baby bottoms as much as anybody else, but if a baby truly is not in the right space, meaning perfect scenario where they're absolutely out asleep, there's really no point in doing that because it's probably going to be more effort than it's worth. Or I will try to get it with the diaper and then I will take it off if everything works my way. Tulle, little skirts, you're going to see all this stuff coming up. Heat is very essential. We talked about that. Somebody asked how warm should the room be. Really, 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 really warm. The hotter the baby, the less they care. We use blow dryers, as you can see. Any props that we use, like that little metal bucket we used, we would have warmed that up. But be very careful. A blow dryer and a metal bucket can make a mighty hot seat. So certainly we've never burned anyone, but you do have to warm it up, check that temperature. A better way for things like that is a heating pad. We actually use a heating pad. The problem is the cord coming out of it. If you can find a way around that with gauze or something, that's the way to go, because a little heating pad is nice and warm on the bottom, and that way they're really happy. A lot of the shots you see with a baby sleeping like this, they're actually on a little heating pad. Another thing that we should note here is there is actually a dad's arm in this picture that was removed, and I'll talk about why later. I'll show you actually how and why we do that. Just as an FYI. I think everybody caught this one today, right? Everybody's getting a pom-pom.
That should be a giveaway.
Yeah, really. I should throw those on You Can Do, because those are hard to find. Do you know we've had this pom-pom for probably 8 years and cannot find another one? Cheerleaders have pom-poms, and any ones we've ever found, they shred super easy. So this one's a really tight, and I don't even know where to find it or where we got it, but that's going home with us, all right? But I'm sure if you Googled it, I'm sure they're out there. I haven't put enough time into it. But pom-pom, it's the sound and it's the light reflection is what's catching a newborn's eyes, a three-month-old's attention, and a 6-month-old for sure. It's all going to be interesting to them. Even a 1-year-old will be captivated by it for a few minutes. So I think you saw really my arsenal of toys. Really and truly the tickler, the chicken, what am I missing? Tickler, chicken, and the pom-pom. Those three are always within an arm's reach of wherever I'm shooting. We do have other little toys and rattles. I don't think I ever, Helen, I'll see her with a rattle every once in a while. I don't think I've ever touched one ever, because those three toys, just constantly revolving them. You see, like as soon as something gets boring, I throw it away, get the chicken, go back and forth. We'll talk about it later, but really and truly, if you are watching what I'm doing, I'm completely overwhelming the child and confusing them so much that they literally don't have time to think. Every noise I make, every stomp, every clap, everything, it's tonality. I change the tone constantly, so I go, yay, uh-oh, oh no, and I control them with my voice, because every tone has an emotional connection, something they've gone through at home. Even as a 3-month-old, they've heard, are y'all done? Uh-oh, no. You know, those are sounds they're familiar with. So pom-pom is important. Oh, we saw the ugly baby already. The ugly baby, we have great stories. I'll tell you some later about the ugly baby, but the ugly baby is an ugly baby. But you saw how we use it to teach our clients how to hold their babies. It's so much easier. Everybody also needs a doll. Easy shots, the posing pillow, I mentioned this today by Wicker by Design. Oh, where did it go? I thought there was one in there. I thought we had a picture of it. But you saw how I used that pillow. You know, photography is an investment, but I am, as much as I talk about every sponsor and every person that I use, I absolutely do not want you to think you have to buy anything. I started my company with a camera, a 35mm camera, and a piece of cardboard that I took aluminum foil and duct taped it all over it, and that was my reflector. And I had to work that way for probably 3 or 4 years. So, and that was all of a few dollars. And it worked perfectly well. There was nothing wrong with it. In fact, I remember when I got my first RZ67, and it took me 3 years to get a second body, a backup body, and I was so nervous at weddings, you can imagine, with one camera. Who does that for 3 years? So I finally got up enough money to get that second body, and not even the very next weekend when I got the second body, I dropped the first one on the ground and destroyed it. So I'm convinced the first one was mad at the second one, so because we had this relationship thing going, but unfortunately I destroyed that body, and it took me a very long time to get a second backup body. So, you know, I wouldn't recommend that to anybody. I'm a much smarter photographer now. I think I would rent a camera for a wedding, but back then it was kind of, you know, at the time it was a money issue. I wouldn't even have known you could rent cameras back then. So, and I don't even think it was easy as it is now as well. So posing pillow is definitely something you should need. Doors and chairs. I mentioned the chairs. We also have a series of antique doors that we use. We just buy them. I pay probably no more than $20 to $25. You'll see them in the show all the time. They're actually behind these young ladies here. little tips on that. The door that we purchased, we actually put 2 hinges on it, and we cut a triangle piece of wood. I wish I would have put the video in, but a triangle piece of wood in there so that it actually can stand independently. But it's very heavy and very dangerous. So we never let it stand independently. There's always an adult holding it. However, it at least gives it some stability there. But we never let them hang alone. Otherwise, all of them lean up against walls. We can shoot them all day long. On the top of the door, you know the PVC pipe coating that you put over pipes in the wintertime? We take that across the top of the door and we staple gun it on so that as we're leaning them along the wall, we don't scratch the walls because otherwise you're going to be repainting a lot. So. Working with sets, you saw all of the things we used. I tried to show a good range of expensive props and fun things and really nice clothing that we've invested in, all the way down to really basic, bare bones, a piece of fabric. I mean, that last session we were using a 4x4 piece of cloth, a chair, and a floor, and there really wasn't much to it. So it is an investment, but it does separate you. It creates that uniqueness that you want. So the question is, what should you buy first? And I always want to start with the basics. Now, when it comes to props, there are all kinds of fun things, and you can go nuts. You could lose a fortune actually buying things. Oh, there it is. I had it in twice. Sorry. There's the wicker by design, and this is this is that posing pillow in the original wicker basket. This is the basket that, I'm not kidding, this kid is in college now, but I have been shooting that basket for the entire lifeline of my company. Now this is actually like an original Watch Me Grow image, and this is where I was. High key background, white basket, white pillow, and that was very, very much my series. Now, since then, we try to stay away from it. It's not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's just, it's very prosumer now. I mean, it's something you can find in a lot of the stores that are in the malls and things like that, so we really do try to separate ourselves. However, the funny thing is, and I have to be very honest with you, everybody says, oh, wicker, or oh, you know, white background, that's so last year. High key backgrounds outsell every other background in the baby program, period, bar none. In every session, I photograph 3 backgrounds, which we'll talk about. One is usually high key, and do you know why? Because it sells. If I lay out all these gorgeous things that I do, mom and dad half the time will buy the white background. The question is, should I even shoot the white background? Obviously, if I don't give it to them, they don't have that choice, but it's something you have to determine. It is very popular. People like that clean, classic white look. We want to talk about the sets and designing sets that work. A lot of it has to do with the color, tone, and styles. As I mentioned, I give about 3 choices per session to clients. It's not a choice, I should rephrase that. I photographed 3 different unique sets. Today we did about 2. If I weren't doing, I believe it was 43 or 49 babies today. No, I'm just kidding. If we weren't doing as many babies, we would have gone through 3 sets within that hour period. We're going to kind of show you some of those. Now, this is some of Helen's work. You can see Helen is very much into the props. She collects everything. No matter where she goes, she's got little cowboys and flyers. I love this little pirate one. I had never even seen that. They sent me to me last night. But this is just a plethora of stuff that she finds here and there. And you can see this one has the doors behind it. This one actually is using one of those little rubber floors, and she's using it as the background and the floor as well. This one is just the floor down flat. But you saw us working in spaces that were approximately 4 by 4 feet for a baby. So we are talking, you can do this in, honestly, a master bathroom probably if you really wanted to. So these are the kind of things, the little sets and things that she builds. And they sell so well. I literally cannot compete with it, how well people love these particular little sets. And one more. And some of them are silly, like that cereal bowl down there is one that I swear to you, I cringe every time I see it because I'm like, oh, don't get out the cereal bowl. But oh my gosh, people buy it every single time. Like they always buy it. I would be more in tune with the one on the far corner here with the antique looking bowl and the fur. If I were going to do a set, and I do, by the way, because I know they sell, that would be more my style. But again, it's that evolution. It's finding different backgrounds. It's creating something unique. Every client that walks in, look, what are these babies doing right now? What are they doing? Sitting. They're sitting. What were all the babies that you just looked at doing? Sitting. They were all 6-month-olds sitting. But you know what? Your mind didn't tell you how boring all they do is shoot sitting babies, because everyone had a unique story. So they looked very unique and individual. Even these here have a very individual flair, and yet every baby is just sitting. And that's what's making us different than everybody else. Is, yeah, we just sit babies too, by the way. But we try to make it unique to us so that there's something there. Clothing is also important. We love, as you can see, now the clothing I am a big fan of. This is my work here. All of this is my work. So you can see virtually no props, if any, simple chair, very classic clean, and tonality. If you look at the backgrounds, grays and blacks, and the high key white is what's drawing you in here. Browns on browns, greens on greens, creams on creams, and then a little bright poppy one. I love the vibrance of the backgrounds, but obviously it's a matter of just simplicity being my style. And there's no right or wrong, believe me. We go back and forth. This is one of the companies that I mentioned, Cherub Chic. They have great all the fun little hats and things. Even on our lunch break, we were still shooting babies just for fun. And these are all the fun, crazy little things. One of the places we get them, and they'll be in the catalog as well. There are also sets out there that you can buy that are custom. For many years, there was a company that produced these large walls. In fact, that image behind you is a set like that with the orange wall. In fact, that orange wall there with the little baby in the green, that is actually the backside of this set that you're looking at here. So most sets are designed to be multiple use. You can swing them around. So this is this set. This custom set, when you look at this image, it actually looks like a pretty big set. It looks like a large room, but I can show you here in a second actually what that looked like on a video. This was awesome. This was four 3 18-month-olds and a 2-year-old. So this was crazy. They were good kids, but you can kind of see look how small those walls really are and what a small space we're working in. So this is just diversion tactics. You can kind of see me running around trying to get them to look at me and doing crazy things. Mostly just scaring them. At this age with boys, you just scare them so they don't dare do anything. I make loud, scary noises and try to get them going. Okay, so you can kind of see this is how small that set is. The back of that set is actually the orange walls. And here comes the brother. Good deal. So let me see if there's a little bit more. There we go. So now, watch. There's the candy.
Nice.
Got it. We nailed it. So you saw that was literally a candy shot. I'm dropping the candy and somebody's getting the, there we go. Here goes the candy again. This is that magic shot. There we go. We just got, lost it, but we got the shot. That's why your shooter's got to be ready. And mom can drop the candy, by the way. There it is, almost. That one's gone. And you do have to bribe them along the way. And I'm talking to them. I'm saying, do you want some? Do you want a piece? Do you want a piece? All right, are you sure you want that? Ready? Here it comes. 1, 2, bam, there's the shot. All right, so we're good. So this is what we're looking for. You would have never thought that shot was going to come out of those 4 boys moving that fast. So it only takes one. So, and that's really and truly what we're working for, is that magic, that moment. I guarantee you, I can tell you right now, that's a chicken shot. I guarantee you that we use the chicken technique, which is an actual technique that I can show you later. Typically, the chicken technique we use on 18 months and older, and so you might see it, you probably will see it with the 1-year-olds tomorrow, but I'll talk about it later. But what it is that you saw whenever I brought out the chicken, it stops motion, and so this is one of those that we have everything ready, and then somebody squeaks that chicken, and that's what you get, is that 1 second of motion stopped. Backgrounds, I showed you Barbara backgrounds. A lot of our vendors have some discounts that I threw in here. However, they're going to be in the catalog too. They're offering 20% off any purchases, so that's that little drawer, which was great. I love that drawer, and that's new to me as well. Their code is Sandy Putch, all one word. SilverLakePhoto.com. These are all the backgrounds that you've seen me playing with today, and probably almost every background you see in this show is Silver Lake. They have 50% off. That's incredible, by the way. 50% off backgrounds is nuts. Also, those new baseboards I showed you, 50% off those too, and those fake floors that are all over the place. So this is a company, they travel with us on tour, and we live and die with their stuff, honestly. So I don't, when I put companies in here, I want to make sure you understand we are so very careful about who we will actually represent. We never speak about anybody that we don't actually use in the studio, and we turn down by far more sponsors than we ever accept, because we will only work with people that we actually truly use their products. We're going to go through the backgrounds. I told you we use 3 tonalities or 3 different looks. High key, that's just pure white, clean, simple. We do them both in pregnancy as well as in the first year series. There's a million ways you can do it. Paper, there are different flooring systems, white fabric, draping it. High key is a great seller. Mid-key tends to be my favorite. I like things in a medium tone, those neutral browns and creams. I just think they look well with skin tones. They also look great in sepia and black and white. We use them on adults' pregnancy sessions as well as the first year series. Cream is actually an incredible seller as well. The high key was really truly the strongest seller for the entire growth of my company, but I've tried really hard we consider it sort of the emergency background. I try really hard to stay away from it now because I feel like that's how I want to separate myself. So cream has become really the strongest color tonality palette that we have outside of that. Yes?
I was going to ask, is high key just white, or do you have like bright yellows and bright pinks?
Just bright white. High key would be considered just pure white.
Okay.
Anything else, I mean, you could have pastels and neutrals and things like that, but high key the word high key is truly just pure white, at least for my world. Low key, which would be a dark background, typically a black background. We use this, we talked about how it hides and shapes, especially with pregnancy. All of the parts that moms don't want to see. This is another thing, these little jackets, these little bolero jackets that they were really popular about 6-7 years ago. I bought as many as I could. You're looking for long sleeve versions, but there are tons of them out there that you can buy that you wear over t-shirts and tank tops. Watch out for them because these make really great pregnancy outfits. You can cinch them up and keep them nice and tight. Finding long sleeve ones, that's the hardest part. But they are wonderful because if you can get the arms covered, the chest covered, and the belly showing, and there's not a bunch of fabric or bunched around, that's really the way to go. Also, low key for baby work is fun as well. And very, very popular seller. We sell a lot of collections, little collages with the black and whites this way. Window light is probably my favorite light, period. I love natural light. I love working with natural light. We talked today about why I would choose studio strobes, why I think it's important to have them when you're working with children and babies. Natural light, you get what you get. If it's a cloudy, rainy day, I couldn't even imagine trying to use natural light in this city because it's been raining every day and it's been cloudy. You have incredible windows in here, so we've got great light. But if I were in my original studio in a rainy environment like this, it would be very frustrating. And yes, I could make it work, but I want beautiful light. I want high quality light. And so my goal is always window light if possible, but I use the continuous light. Almost every window light you see now has continuous light as an accent kicker light. This is actually way before we had TD5s and TD6s. This is true natural light. Now with the Baby Plan series, I live in Colorado, so as much as I loved window light, what would happen is if they came in the spring and I did the window at 3 months, by the time 6 months it was winter time, or it was fall, and by the next session, by the 1 year, it was winter. So the color of the light would actually change every single season. And so I could have, beautiful, more of an amber tone light at one point, and then in the winter time it would be blue light coming through the window. And yes, you can color balance to a point. But when you color shift, it's different than color balance. If you're trying to fix skin tones, that's balancing. If you're trying to shift backgrounds to match each other, you're playing with skin tones then. So we just found that it does happen. Clients do buy window light or use window light as their series for their 3 and 6 and 1 year session. But there are discrepancies in the look. I am looking for a finished product that looks amazing, so I want each image to have the same tonality, the same skin tones. So if I start with studio strobes and the client comes in and they say, this is the one I want for my 3-month session, then the next time we actually save those. We have in our server, we save the baby series by their names. And every time I do a 6-month-old walks in, I pop up and look at what they did for 3 months. And usually we let them pick 2 just in case. So if they have the little cowboy set for the little boy over here is one that they picked, and the little, let's see where Cooper, we're using Cooper shots, the cowboy shot and the little blue shot that we did. One was studio, one was continuous light. I would for sure shoot something on a blue background, not the same one necessarily, but something in the same tone with studio light. And I would photograph something with continuous light on an earthy tone background, so that when they come in to place that order, they get something at that birthday that's going to look really nice together. It does take a little research. I mean, you have to take the time, or a little effort, I should say, to make that happen. But to me, it's well worth it. I don't like to see, it's a huge frustration when I see a client that comes in that somebody allows them to buy 3 totally different looks and put them in a frame. And it's just a personal thing for me, but I just think it's like a train wreck to me. And then to find a mat that matches it all, and it just does not have just this, I want an image to draw you in. I don't want one thing to like be screaming at you. Let's talk about the tonalities. The neutral tone is my favorite tone to work in, that mid-key, creamy tone. It's soft, it's sweet, and everybody looks good on cream. When people ask me what background should I buy first, I always say a black background is always helpful, and then a cream tone background, it would be my second choice, and then probably a neutral gray or something like that. And again, we're talking you have no money, you're just starting out, and you just need the basics, a gray, a cream, and a black background, and then white paper, and you would pretty much have a great start to get your business going. Over time, you're going to want to add all these cool eclectic things, but that's going to get you through an awful lot of sessions, and certainly did for me. We also do in this series something we call gender specific, which means if it's a boy, he's probably going to have a football or a baseball or something like that. If it's a girl, there's going to be flowers and tulle and hats and things like that, because we, as babies, sometimes it's hard to tell if they're boys or girls. Typically, I think boys look like boys and girls look like girls, but every once in a while you get a little girl that looks like a little boy, and sometimes moms will come in and say, I don't like hair bows on her head. I will usually say, you know what, totally fine. I hated hair bows on my daughters growing up, and then I will say, but you know what, honestly, in pictures, it's really weird, but as much as I never put them on their heads, in pictures, they actually sometimes look really cute. So would you mind if I just did a couple with it on? And every time we do that, they always buy the hair bows, especially if it's a borderline, more masculine looking little girl. It's just that little bit of femininity that just kind of makes them go, oh my gosh, that's so cute. So I don't force it on anybody. And you'll get dads in there that say, I hate those, don't put that on her head. And I'll even still try to say, you know what, I know you hate them, I hated them too, I'm just gonna do 2, and I'll take it off real quick. If you hate them, you never have to see them again. And I don't mind doing that. I'll push to get my way, because then when he comes in, honestly, they love the hair bows and the hats and things like that. So I'm not gonna do it first though. I'm always gonna do what they ask me first, and then I'll take it off. Because if I happen to get the 2 good shots with the bow on and then the baby freaks out and I had put the bow on, they're gonna tell me they hated it, even if they like it, because I screwed it up. So always do what they asked first. This is urban and eclectic. This is the miracle shot we talked about. I wanna make sure that everybody knows that I do not just shoot moms with babies on black backgrounds. We go well out of our way to create amazing shots, things that are really truly unique to each client. A shot like this, though, does take a little bit of work, and later on in the show, I'm going to talk you through that. I am actually in this picture. I am actually kneeling next to the motorcycle, and my hand never left that baby. Now, if you look at the background and you see how busy it is, you want to know, how did I disappear? We're going to talk about this, because this is one of those fix it in Photoshop moments, but safety always comes first. There are scenes like this, but I have no choice. I will never put a baby at risk, and I'll explain that a little bit later as well. All right, we're going to go through the equipment real quickly that I use. I do want to remind you, if you go to sandypuch.com, we also are great friends of B&H. We love those guys, and we have an entire website with every piece of equipment you saw me use today, and we're actually loading up a bunch. I got a whole bunch of new stuff today, including the drawers and those awesome baseboards and things like that. So those will all go up on this site as time goes by. But my meters, my lights, if you really want to see what I personally use, go to Sandy Puch Gadget page, and everything you click on will actually open up in the company that I purchase it from, which is great, because for us, B&H, we get all of our equipment from them, but there's other vendors there like backgrounds and some of the things, Silver Lake, some of the other ones you're asking about. So it's just a nice resource to get everything and have access directly to that. I shoot the 5D Mark IIs. You saw me using the 70 to 200 millimeter today, as well as the 100 millimeter. The other lenses I recommend, I'm a huge fan of the 50 millimeter. I love that, but more for children. I just love the natural look and just the way it changes the environment. It's that true to eye perspective. What I did not get a chance to say that I think is critical to get out to this audience especially, the 72 to 200 is a luxury lens, both in expense and in usability. When you're working with a newborn, you saw at 70 millimeters, I was still 4 or 5 feet away from every child. In my studio, I am never that close to a child. I do have an assistant, so I am as far away. I'm at 200 millimeters, completely compressing it. I have taught myself how to shoot by myself with at 200 millimeters, but you're talking you're a good 20 feet away from a child. Now, if the child's having, if they're stressing out or it's not going well, I'm going to be right up where I was today. But I love compressing backgrounds, so that is why that's my favorite lens, and I force myself to be far away. That's why that long tickler comes in handy. If you're new to photography, if it's something that you haven't, you're not as comfortable with working with babies, if you're still struggling with camera operations and capturing expressions, then you cannot be 20 feet away. And so at that point, I highly recommend the 24 to 105, something in that range. That'll bring you a lot closer to the subject. Shooting at 105 is a great portrait look, and it's going to have you much, much closer, which is a good thing. So 24 to 105 is a great place to start. Once you can get to the 70 to 200, I absolutely love the way that goes. This is what I'm looking for when I'm photographing. This first image is shot at 70 millimeters, and of course the second one is at 200 millimeters. And without moving my feet, so without moving my location, I can get two completely, totally different looks. And of course, most people know that this background is called a bokeh when it's all blown out like that and out of focus. And that's what I'm looking for. I love it when the whole background just disappears and the skin tones in that subject, their eyes, really become the most prominent part. But when working with babies, when they're moving 100,000 miles an hour, having that zoom lens is really definitely a good thing to do. This is also, you can see the little girl that's closest to the chair, or the same girl, but the close-up. This is natural light with continuous light as the main light. So continuous light is the main light, and what's hitting her back are those big windows that are north-facing. So I love, even with windows, you can create those separators and kickers. You do not have to, you should always be looking for a second light source. You should never settle for one light, ever. Ever, ever, ever. Honestly, thank you. Because you just can't. I mean, to me, the separator is what makes the image, not the main light. So keep that in mind. This is the stand that I use in the studio. It's a Manfrotto product. You can go to their site, or go to my site and see it there. So that's sandyputch.com. I believe you'll see me shooting on it in several videos today, but as easy as I make that tripod look, it is the tool that I use everywhere on location. But in the studio, this is our workhorse here, and it is much more stable. I can also go 8 feet in the air, so I can climb up my ladder real quick and be right directly over the top of a baby. I could have done that here, but the ladder that we had to purchase was very unstable. I have a very solid ladder. It's a step stool type ladder, and I just was not willing to risk putting my own body weight over a baby. With or without a camera strap around my neck, I wasn't going to do that, but I recommend using a strong ladder and a camera strap. Stability versus the photojournalistic style. I think we covered that already, and I think I explained to you, and you actually saw that exactly in motion today, where, what would you say, about 80% of what I did was on the camera, or on the tripod, and about 20% was actually grabbed it, popped off, played around a little bit, climbed up the ladder, and then I was back to playing around again. Or back to stability again. I will always choose stability over freedom if I only have one choice. However, my personal choice is to go back and forth wherever possible. But again, once that tripod becomes an extension of your body, then you can't live without it. It's actually much harder to shoot without it than it is for me to shoot with it. The stands, we already covered the Manfrotto stand. So this usually, I teach this before we shoot, but we had lots of babies today, so we kind of did it backwards. But you got to see the stand in action, so I don't think I have to explain that. Again, a Manfrotto product, 231, and it's on my site. The Sekonic meter, we meter everything. I explained why. Yes, I know you can look at the back of your camera. I even know you can read a histogram, and that's fantastic if you've educated yourself. But a meter is the direct connection to your brain learning how to see light, and I will live and die with my meter. Besides that, you can't really meter studio strobes or flashes. If you're in an environment where you cannot control everything, you'll have a heck of a time just looking at the back of the camera and making it happen. So I would recommend that for sure. TD6s are absolutely, I mean, we use them every day, all day. They're my favorite light. This is a very similar setup to what we had today. And you saw the backgrounds. A lot of the backgrounds we used today were from the Westcott company. But I just kind of wanted to show you what that looks like, and that's what the final product looks like. So you can kind of see, with those I use the two, they're about 2 by 3 boxes. And very simple, clean light. This is not with natural light. This is just using the 2 strobes. But you can see it has a very natural light feel to it. It definitely feels more window-like than studio strobe-like to me, because it's much more open and light and bright. We used the photogenics today, and again, I'm going to go through these really quick because we were actually backwards and went through all this. Pocket wizards are also how we remotely fire our lights and trigger our lights. Now let's get to the fun part. We're going to go through pregnancy. Having already photographed her, with the pregnancy it was more of a walkthrough with body dynamics. Now we can really talk about the more detailed information. I love working with pregnant women. I think it is such an incredible, I don't even think you realize what an amazing experience it is until it's long past, until you're looking at other people going, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I did that, because it's just really such a miraculous time. And so, you know, for us to have an opportunity to work with these women, a lot of times there are a lot of issues that, as much as you think it's magical and beautiful, they don't feel necessarily the same way. If they come to you, they're interested in your product or in your art. However, most people come in feeling very uncomfortable. They do not feel like they look good. They're worried about things like their arms, their neck lines, things like that. Not everyone can look like this beautiful mom and have just the perfect little petite body. More often than not, that's not the case.